Cinematography for Directors is a new book from acclaimed filmmaker and teacher Jacqueline Frost. This wonderfully written and gorgeously designed book covers the nuts and bolts of one of the most crucial collaborations in film production, the relationship between the director and their cinematographer. Of the book, director Penelope Spheris raves, to anyone remotely interested in filmmaking, it is a beautifully written page-turner. Ms. Frost currently teaches cinematography and advanced film production at California State University, Fullerton, where she is an associate professor. And in addition, she regularly teaches a course through UCLA Extension entitled Cinematography for Directors, on which this book is based. It's a great book, and you can pick it up right here from our website. If you click that icon of the front cover of the book on the home page here, it'll take you directly to Amazon, where you can purchase the book as you listen to the show. And it's a great pleasure to welcome to our show Miss Jacqueline Frost. Miss Frost, are you with us?
I am here.
Thank you so much for calling tonight. I apologize for the mishap last week, but we're thrilled to have you on now.
No problem. And thank you for that wonderful introduction. Very nice.
I love the book. I can't wait to talk to you about it. But first, give me a sense of you and how movies became a part of your life. What were those early films that moved you?
Early, wow, that's a more complicated question than you can imagine. But there's a few films that have just jumped out at me. I became interested in movies just when I was a kid, home from school with Mono, watching the 4:30 movie, and I watched classics like Streetcar Named Desire and Mildred Pierce and all these different films, and I was just engaged, So I became interested in film when I took a film history class in college, and that kind of became my thing. I got really interested in movies, and then I wanted to learn how to make movies. So films like The Graduate, those are the kind of that every year I'll show that to the students, and I watch it myself, and I always get something else out of it. The beautiful color cinematography of Douglas Sirk's films.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Rebel Without a Cause. I mean, there's so many,
So did you find yourself drawn to the immediately to the photographic aspect of film?
Well, no, not immediately. I mean, I started off as a fine arts major, so I was into drawing and painting. And as a fine arts major, I had to study a lot of art history. So I realized in studying paintings that I was studying light and composition. And in still photography, I was really into the technical aspects of working with lenses and f-stops and depth of field and stuff like that. So it just was a natural progression to get interested in being behind the camera.
Yeah. And so you studied. Where did you go to school?
I went to a whole bunch of places. I graduated from the University of Florida as a fine arts major, and then I went to NYU for a little while. Didn't stay there. Went off to San Francisco State. Loved it there. Shot a lot of films for people. So then, you shoot something that's in focus and looks half decent, and so we shoot my film too. Sure, okay. So I shot a lot of films there, and then I went off to I taught for a while in Oklahoma, of all places, and then I wound up at the University of Miami, getting another degree, and I was shooting there. So by then I was really specializing in producing and cinematography. Right.
And tell me about your relationships with when you were the DP on some of these projects. Your relationships with the directors and what you learned from those experiences.
Yeah, I realized that directors are really that are passionate. They have something they really want to say, and they really want to get on the screen. They don't really always know how to do it, and they don't know the technical means of how to express how to do it. So I really like collaborating with people, and I found that there was a need there, that they had a great idea for something, but they were like, well, how do we do this? And then I'd say, okay, well, I think we can use this stock and this angle and this lens and blah, 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 and we can do it. And they're like, okay, cool. So for me, it was very satisfying to get what they wanted up on the screen,
Yeah. Go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, did you feel, because that's a very important thing you bring up, because a lot of people, myself included, we don't get the technical things. So do you find yourself bringing that technical expertise to the set a lot to people who otherwise don't understand it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I don't feel that bad now, but no. But the reason I ask is because that's very important to know that. And if you have that skill, I've always found if you have the technical, the scientific skills to bring that to the set, you're as good as gold.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. That's a lot of the reason for you writing this book, because I mean the book is called Cinematography for Directors, and that's not cinematography for cinematographers necessarily. So tell me about that distinction.
Well, that distinction is that a lot of cinematographers are techies anyway. They have they're aesthetic people. They consider themselves painters with light. They have an artistic vision, but the book, they don't need the book. The directors,
true.
Right.
The people who want to tap into those resources, the people who want to, may get a really proficient cinematographer on set, but they don't know how to talk to them, really, how to express what they want. So I wrote the book for directors, and I learned that from teaching that class at UCLA that there was really a great need. I'd get people who were actors turned directors, writers turned directors, people who just, directors that just didn't know a lot of this stuff, that were like, okay, well, how do we, what do we need to know to talk to these people? Mm-hmm. So that's really the focus of it.
And the director and the cinematographer, you talk about the DP is a director's closest ally, or should be, on the set. Is that true? Tell me about that communication, that relationship.
Yeah, well, the director's got a lot of pressure, let's face it. Everybody on set's looking at the director like, okay, what do you do next? And blah, 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 blah. What's the next shot? What's the next setup? They need somebody to turn to and say, okay, blank in here. What should we do? The director of photography is there to really support the director's vision, to help them.
That's true.
To be the shoulder to lean on, So
how much information or knowledge should the director, because this is the basis of your book, should the director come to the set with, and in building that relationship with his DP, how much should he know about lenses, the technical aspects of it?
That's kind of a mixed kind of thing, because when I talk to cinematographers from the ASC, some of them say they don't really care if a director knows technical lenses and can say, I want a 32 or a 27. They don't really care about that. What they really want a director to have is a passion and enthusiasm, and to really know kind of, okay, I want this kind of angle. How do we do it? They want to be able to collaborate with them. So to know everything technical is not, essential. It's helpful.
Right.
It's very helpful.
Yeah.
They don't have to be a Soderbergh, is what you're saying. They can,
as
long as they have, basically, and I don't mean that in a bad way at all. But as long as, you want the director. You don't want the director to be just a gun for hire. You want the director to be able to say, well, I was thinking maybe if we do put the camera here, and if we could do this. You don't want the director to be like, oh, I don't really know. What do you mean? What do you mean the lens cap isn't off? You never want that.
No, not really.
But and also there's a chapter in your book about this. It's useful to use visual references.
Yeah.
Yeah, whether it be from paintings, which I know a lot of DPs study the great artists in terms of the lighting, or other films. But at the same time, you don't want your film to be derivative of those references.
There are some cinematographers that I talked to said that a director sometimes will come to them with a lot of pictures, maybe stills from magazines or old photographs or some sort of filmic reference, or something like, I kind of want this feel, and you take kind of the essence of all of those things and come up with the visuals that you're going for. It's not like I want my film to look exactly like Goodfellas, but the essence of it, a little bit of this mixed with a little bit of this, with a little bit of Skip Leach to get this look, to blah blah,
Yeah.
So it's just a starting point where they may have references, and then the film doesn't even look like that, but at least it's a starting point for a conversation.
Mm-hmm. There's the dilemma for the beginning filmmaker. How do they go about finding a cinematographer for their project?
Yeah, it depends where they are. Like if you've got a script and you've been funded, if you're in film school, it's easier because there's people right there, and you can look at their work. If you've got a project and you've got a little money, then you've got to kind of look around through resources to see people's reels. You have to have the meetings, a one-on-one, to see if you connect at all. There's so many cinematographers out there ready to work, you know, for a really good price, a really good deal. But you have to see if it's a fit. If it's a fit for your project and if it's a fit for your personality.
Yeah, and certainly it's dependent upon also how well the DP responds to the script.
Oh yeah.
To the material.
Because they're happy about it, they'll bring something to it. If they don't really want to do it and they're just doing it for the money or whatever, you know, then they're not going to be as enthusiastic in the collaboration.
Yeah, because they really are. We talk about this a lot. Every member of the film crew is an assistant storyteller, and in terms of plotting your camera shots or movements, those have to be motivated by the script.
Right.
And so the DP really does have to have storytelling skills, experience.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I mean, like the second chapter in there that I have the cinematographer in the script, you know, when they get a script, they sit down and read it just like anybody else would, you know, just like a producer would, just like an actor would. They just read it all the way through and they think, is this something that moves me, that I can relate to? Is this something that I want to be a part of, you know?
Yeah.
Is this something I'm interested in? Is this taking me to another place, you know, letting me challenging me or, you know? And then they'll read it again and start to think, okay, technical, like how can I add maybe a little, maybe suggest a dolly shot here, or wide angle, or they'll start to get creative ideas there afterwards, you know?
But even it's not only the relationship between the director and his cinematographer, because isn't it crucial that people like the production designer and the set decorators, those talents have to be involved in those conversations as well, correct?
Oh, for sure. The production designer is kind of the third entity in that little duo there. And even I talked to a cinematographer the other day who was saying that the first AD is part of the deal too, you know?
That's true. I've heard that many times.
Yeah. Because, you know, it's got to be how many sets you can do, what can you get done in a day, you know? So you got to be working with them. Yeah.
You talk to a lot of, I think, like 8 or 9 very acclaimed cinematographers in this book. You feature interviews with them throughout.
Yeah.
And a couple of them we've had on the show, people like Daniel Pearl and Matthew Libitek. And what information did you glean from them, for instance, about the kinds of directors they appreciate working with the most?
Well, Matthew in particular, he was very big on the director and him being friends. You know, he really likes to feel comfortable with the director, hang out with them, you know, the kind of person that you just really observe what tastes, you know, what are they drawn to. So he's very much about that. Because, you know, he met Darren Aronofsky in film school at AFI, and, you know, and he got to work with one of his idols, Spike Lee, many times now.
Right.
So, you know, they've established a friendship, really. Daniel Pearl is kind of more about what challenges him creatively. You know, like that he's not in love with horror films necessarily, but he's gotten known for shooting them, and he likes to be able to go into the dark areas there and shoot something in that kind of genre. You know?
Yeah. Do they find that directors are I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
Finish your thought.
No, I was just going to say he's also one who, you know, he loves a collaboration, and that's, you know, that's what they want to be. They want to be collaborators. Every director, cinematographer I talk to wants a collaboration. They don't want to be, like you said earlier, a gun for hire. Just put the camera there and push the button. I mean, anybody can do that.
Are directors becoming more daring in terms of their visual approach to filmmaking in the past couple of decades?
No, I think they are because they can. You know, if you look at earlier films in cinema history, you know, there was a semi-predetermined look to certain genres, but at the same time, they didn't have some of the technical abilities that they have today with CGI, with what they can do in digital intermediates. So it was all photochemical process, but now, you know, with a DI, you can do pretty much anything you want.
And how much has the digital revolution transformed what they do?
I think it's very apparent in post-production, and it's just, you know, there's a lot of controversy still in digital image capture. You know, there's a lot of, most cinematographers still would prefer to stay in film for, you know, to get the main negative captured that way and then manipulate it in post. but what they can do in post is just, amazing. Although there are still a few diehards holding out and just saying, you know what, I'm sticking with photochemical. I don't want to do anything in the DI suite. I just want to do I'm a film purist, and I'm staying in here. Paul Thomas Anderson is one of those guys. I
remember that passage from your book. Yeah, I think the DP said, you can't cheat with Paul Thomas Anderson.
No, you can't. You can't. On so many levels, you really can't.
Yeah, and what a great collaboration that is. And There Will Be Blood, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful book. It's called Cinematography for Directors. It's available now. Like I said, you can purchase it off of our website. Before I let you go, I want to ask for your picks. If someone asks you for 3 films, just the most brilliant examples of terrific cinematography, what would the first 3 films that come to your mind be?
Oh, man, that's a hard question.
That's why I save it for last.
Off my head, yeah. Let's see. Well, in terms of a cohesive unity that's been done in cinematography, you can't not mention the Godfather series shot by Gordon Willis.
Right, no, of course.
Gordon Willis is a master, and I would be remiss in not mentioning him. So that gets me off the hook easy with that one. But contemporary, Roger Deakins, if you look at his work, it's not even one film. It's the body of his work. And when I was pulling stills for the book, I was amazed at the way he could light and the way he composed. He's really quite brilliant.
Yeah.
So pretty much anything he shot, it's just, you could take it apart, and it's beautiful as still images. You know what I was drawn to, though, I have to say? It's the work of Douglas Sirk's cinematographer Russell Meddy back in the 50s. Those films are so beautiful.
Oh, they are. They really are.
They really inspired me and stuck in my mind for decades, so I'll have to throw those in there, too.
Those are great choices, and all very bold. They're pushing the envelope, and with Douglas Sirk, certainly, in terms of color, Gordon Willis, in terms of darkness, how dark can it be before you can't see anything?
You really pick the best of light and dark right there.
Yeah, and he's getting that honorary Oscar this year, which is so well deserved. And of course, Roger Deakins, his work with the Coen brothers is just remarkable.
Yeah.
And I'm taken by a lot of those stills that you choose for your book. There's a great chapter on color schemes. And you notice that a lot more with multi-layered, multi-character pieces like a traffic, where each section has its own color scheme, and it's very striking.
Yes, and that's becoming. I think that's becoming more predominant in today's films. I don't think that was done quite as much in the past. It's become something that's even more subtle. It could be just a different stock on a different character, but it's enough that you're in a different world. This is a different storyline. They're all weaving together, but it's just slightly desaturated or slightly warmer or slightly cooler, that ties it all together.
Right.
You don't have to put a title card, now we are here.
Exactly. They have their own kind of temperature, and you follow it according to that look.
Right.
The brilliant choices of films that you spotlight in this film and in this book, and I love the book very much, and I appreciate you coming on and talking about it.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Okay, let's do it again sometime.
All righty.
Yes,
for sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.